Hey, everyone. I'm Becca, and he's Matt, and this is Becca's Book Club Adventure.
Welcome back, everybody. We read part 2 of House of Sky and Breath, and we are here to talk about it. It's almost like, I feel like it's like halftime in the book. So, what's the vibe check? Where are we at?
The vibes are pretty good. Okay, so remember how when we started part 1 and I was like, I don't know about this, and then I started liking it? So part 2, it's good? I could see why after reading the first book, maybe this book isn't as great, but why people are trash talking this book, I'm not sure. So we'll see what part 3 brings.
Part 2 definitely felt a little sloggy. Like, I feel like the momentum kind of regressed slightly from where it left off. It's still good, but it's just like the expectation wasn't as high. It didn't meet that expectation as well.
Right? Like, we found out some pivotal pieces of information, but they didn't feel like they didn't have the oomph or the shock value that she typically brings.
Yeah, and I feel like there's a lot to complain about. Yeah, like being a nitpicking reader, I just like there's a lot you want to be like, but why? Like, okay, so I guess before we start complaining about it, maybe we should do two things. We need to thank our sponsor for today, and then we need to like recap what we've read so we can refresh our own memories.
Love it.
So, sponsor first?
Sponsor first.
Okay.
So, if you're tired of air conditioning, reliable Wi-Fi, and sleeping through the night without the fear of bear attacks, then do we have a summer getaway for you?
That's right. Introducing camping. The time-honored tradition of pretending that you're one with nature while desperately Googling how to pitch a tent on 1 bar of signal.
While camping, you can enjoy gourmet meals like hot dogs, undercooked s'mores, a questionable rehydrated egg scramble packet, hot chocolate that finally makes you feel alive, and 1 bag of trail mix you'll all fight over.
Camping allows you to reconnect with the wild by sleeping on a rock, swatting mosquitoes the size of your regrets, and peeing behind a tree like it's 400 BC.
Don't forget digging a trench just so you can poop. Camping pairs beautifully with sudden thunderstorms, broken zippers, frozen toes, raccoons with attitude, and poison ivy.
That's right. It's camping, not glamping, camping. For when the comfort and amenities of civilization just don't cut it. Are you guys going on any camping trips this summer?
We don't have anything formally planned, but we should at this point. To be honest, camping in Rocky Mountain National Park in basically December was 1 part a ton of fun and 1 part actually terrifying.
How cold was that?
I think it was 40s, 30s.
All right.
It's cold, but it wasn't like we bought new sleeping bags for it that were rated for it, but it wasn't.
So you guys had like the mummy bags?
Yeah.
Yeah, mummy bags are awesome. Like you'll actually just sweat in those when it's negative temperatures outside.
Yeah.
They're freaky. Where was your favorite place to camp? Wait. No, you guys are going to Banff for a wedding, so there's no camping, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably our favorite place to camp. The only other place we've camped is Zaleski. Otherwise, we've done like, the epic 4 a.m. hikes kind of stuff, but not the sleeping outside stuff.
I don't think I could get your sister to go camping or be in a tent to save anybody's life.
I was applauded in Rocky Mountain for being the one to carry the tent, and I don't think she would carry the tent for you all.
No, I would carry everything, including her, I'm sure. Okay. The great outdoors aside, if any of our listeners would like to join in on this conversation, because it's so much fun, feel free to leave us a comment or review, or you can email us at bookclubbybecca@gmail.com, or you can DM us on Instagram at Becca's Book Club Adventure. Hopefully we hear from you. Okay. Part 1, House of Sky and Breath. That's chapters 25 through 47. Recap.
All right, so after surviving the Reaper ambush that ended part 1, Ruhn confronts the Autumn King, looking for answers about the Star Sword, and the Autumn King reveals that the sword was made from a meteorite and suggested Ruhn should eliminate Bryce to consolidate power.
He's a people pleaser, that one. Therion is called before the River Queen so she can question him about the search for Emil, and also to reprimand and punish him for asking her daughter on a date above.
Over time, Therion's desire for change in his life becomes more evident as the River Queen's punishments become more severe, and often for seemingly unknown infractions.
Bryce convinces Cormac to agree to teach her how to teleport, but with 0 results. Bryce and Hunt continue their search for Emil, but continue to come up empty. And the crew continue to think that maybe Emil is hiding in the Bone Quarter, so Bryce obtains death marks from Jessica so that she and Hunt can go into the Bone Quarter and have a heart-to-heart with the Underking, which just sounds like a great idea.
On the off chance she's wrong, Bryce also enlists Declan to use his computer skills to search all of Crescent City for Emil, Sophie, and the old footage of Danika that could help.
While hitting the gym, hard left turn, by the way, Bryce and Hunt get super spicy. Hunt ends up returning the favor from part 1 and blowing Bryce's mind, culminating in the two both experiencing an ultra explosive I love you session, and also going a step further and calling each other mates.
Ruhn continues his mental rendezvous with Agent Daybright, and with the mental connection growing stronger, even hinting at a budding romance, even though the two of them have never met in real life.
Spoiler alert, this is one of those things that I'm just like, why? Anyway. Across the Istros, Bryce and Hunt finally enact their amazing 5 out of 5 plan and meet with the Underking. They quickly learn that the Reapers that attacked them at the end of part 1 were not actually from the Bone Quarter, and neither Sophie nor Emil are there in the Bone Quarter. Then the Underking reveals that the Bone Quarter is not an eternal resting place for the deceased. Rather, souls are like destroyed and turned into another form of energy called Secondlight. And then the Underking and his minions attack Bryce and Hunt.
Through a harrowing battle with a demon dog and many Reapers, Hunt and Bryce survive by combining their powers and channeling them through the Star Sword to defeat their enemies and flee back across the river.
Speaking of being back across the river, in Crescent City, Ruhn, Cormac, and Ithan need to pass intel Ruhn obtained via Agent Daybright to another Ophion agent, but their mission is compromised by the arrival of the Hind and her Dreadwolves. Luckily, Ruhn has them hidden in his shadows, but Mordok still smells something because apparently he's a bloodhound and Danika's father and knows Ithan's scent.
Cormac teleports them away to a bar on the other side of the city before they're caught. And as Ithan and Ruhn are having a drink, the Hind walks in for a round of poker and a chat, letting everyone know that she's watching them.
At Bryce's apartment, the group reassembles after their ordeals. But then they're rudely interrupted by Sabine doing Sabine things because she violently arrives and accuses Bryce and Ithan of planning a coup against the wolves. Okay, sure. Hunt and Baxian's timely arrival diffuses the situation.
Following this, Ithan moves in with Ruhn to escape his proximity and old feelings for Bryce, and to deal with his feelings for Connor.
Therion, Bryce, and Ithan pay a visit to the Mystics.
Dun dun dun.
Ithan wants answers about Connor. Therion wants answers about Sophie and Emil. The Mystics travel to Hell and begin conversing with Thanatos, another demon prince, the Prince of the Ravine, but Thanatos does a 180 on the group.
Thanatos knows exactly who Bryce is and wants her for himself. He plunges the room into darkness, vowing vengeance on Bryce, and begins to feast on the helpless mystics. Ithan rescues the mystics and breaks the connection to hell. For their help, they're thrown out.
As you're wont to do with people that help you. Yeah. Declan then calls to say that his software has finally found something. It's video footage of Danika covertly taking pictures of books in the old Griffin Antiquities basement library. And guess what? Jessica still has the book and sends it over to Bryce.
The book contains the history and lineage of the wolves, which does not exist elsewhere. Bryce secretly slips into the den to chat with the Prime, who acknowledges Danika's interest and also why that information has been forgotten and deleted from books.
Bryce also slips in a little information about Ethan's situation when she's talking to the Prime, which apparently he didn't know anything about. So the Prime calls Ithan and offers Ithan the opportunity to be alpha of his own pack after the Prime deals with Sabine. Ithan says he needs to think about it because that's usually what you do when you get a job promotion offer.
Ithan goes back to the Mystics to get more answers, but there's no one there to answer the door. After breaking and entering, Ithan discovers that the female Mystic is a wolf and decides that he's going to free her somehow. In the meantime, though, Ithan steals the Astronomer's rings that contain the trapped fire sprite slaves.
Back at Ruhn's house, Ithan, Declan, Flynn, and Mark crack open the rings with a hammer and free not 4, but 3 fire sprites and a female dragon shifter.
I'm pretty sure this is like our first full scene with Mark in it, so that was a little bit of a what? Cormac, Bryce, Hunt, and Ruhn and Therion all travel to Yurda to meet with Pippa, Spestos, along with the latest rebel intel and tech. The new tech is a deadly use for First Light.
After watching Pippa slaughter the Veneer crew that brought her the new tech, Hunt decides to torch all of the new tech and weapons to keep it out of the hands of a psychopathic Pippa. And Bryce uses her Starborn light to blind all of the human rebels so that they can all flee before they're killed.
They try to escape via the sea, but end up having to head straight into the trap of the Hind. Hunt goes full tilt into mate protection rage as the Hind IDs them, but before she can kill them, the Ocean Queen City ship called the Death Charger and saves them and spirits them safely beneath the sea.
So not only are they now enemies of the rebellion that they just attacked, but they're also simultaneously known rebel sympathizers.
On board, Bryce tames Hunt's mate rage the only way she knows how, with the most mind-blowing SEX ever. And she's successful in more ways than one. Not only does she tame mate rage, but she also has their powers merged together into something new and accidentally teleports them mid-session.
The group also finally finds Sophie, or should I say, the Depth Charger found Sophie 2 weeks ago at the bottom of the sea, dead.
But before she drowned, Sophie carved a series of letters and numbers into herself, and it's becoming to become obvious that she is still wanted, even dead, because a necromancer could reanimate her and create the most deadly weapon ever.
Part 2 comes to a conclusion with Agent Daybright putting up walls between her and Ruhn after the two get too close to one another during a nighttime encounter. Okay. Part of me doesn't even know where to begin with this shit. I think maybe we should talk about the Underking, the great plan to go across to the city of the dead and have a little chit chat.
Okay, so what we do know is to get there, they had to buy death marks from Jessica. So Jessica will give a lot of things to Bryce for the right price. So Ruhn pays for the death marks against his knowledge, pretty much. But she's been to the Bone Quarter before when she sold her soul for Danika.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, she kind of has an idea of what she's in for. So the fact that they get ambushed this badly, I'm like, I don't think I'm buying that. Bryce kind of knew what was going on.
Yeah, and like, okay, so book 1 makes you think that the death marks almost like give you secure passage. Like they're the token that will allow you to go over. But apparently that's not true. Okay, sure. So it's a bad idea to start. And then the Underking is like, okay, y'all are gonna be dead in a hot second anyway, because I'm hungry. So I'm just gonna do some info truth bombs. And we learned that like souls are only there until the living on the other side of the river forget about them. So because we're dealing with immortals, I'm assuming that could be like thousands of years. But at some point, the the deceased souls are fed through the gateway to produce Secondlight, which is just another energy source. So this is very like the Matrix. I feel like we're all just like a battery. This is what they're trying to say.
Well, the whole scene doesn't really make sense to me, but have you ever seen the Disney movie Coco? So Coco is about Dia de Muertes, which is the same concept that we're dealing with in the Bone Quarter of you exist there until people forget that you exist. And that's the whole plot line of Coco, is this man is trying to be remembered and he's this forgotten character. Anywho,
You're telling me that's a Disney movie?
it's a Disney movie, so it's like Disney graphics, Disney songs. It has a happy ending. So this imagery is what I have while I'm reading this about the Bone Quarter. That is a very different imagery that does not have any color.
I would love for them to sing a song while fighting the demon dog.
Right? Which sounds then also like Hercules. So I just have this like double down of Disney ideas going.
I think the Underking drops some knowledge that Bryce has the power of a star inside her.
Yes.
And this just goes back to my question last episode. What the F is the difference between Bryce's power and Starborn power and the Asteri power and First Light and
now Secondlight
and Secondlight and the Thunderbird power? And if it's all the same, why does everybody seemingly have it?
This magic system is not magicking.
No, the math is not mathing for sure. And apparently the Underking eats it. He doesn't eat the souls. He's eating the Secondlight, right?
Right. So, like, there's still more to be passed on to whatever the final resting place is. And the whole team is wildly disturbed about this concept. But all I can think is, but don't you know that, like, that's not, I don't know. Is that really that much worse than, like, resting there in the Bone Quarter that you all think is terrible?
Yeah, for real, right? Okay. It was an interesting scene. I think the only other thing it tells us is that Hunt grabs the gate and like channels the first light or whatever that's in the gate through himself and combines it with his lightning and then channels that through Bryce and the Star Sword. Okay, sure.
The mechanics of a lot of these scenes are really difficult to keep straight.
So we're being set up that Bryce and Hunt together can like nothing can stop them is what essentially is being set up, right?
Yes, which means I officially have to give up on my goal of Bryce and Adius being together, because that's clearly not happening.
I mean, unless we get a triangle and Bryce gets a little side piece. Yeah.
Everyone needs a little kitty cat, right?
Oh, yeah. Hey, yeah. Speaking of Bryce and Hunt, okay. The gym scene. I don't need to necessarily focus on the sweaty, hot stuff, but What are your thoughts on them being mates?
Yeah, so I'm not like super thrilled about it. So in Akatar, the mate concept, they kind of avoid it for a long time, but then it's like this springs into place kind of concept, right? And it's the same thing in Throne of Glass. In Crescent City, it's we really, really love each other. We should call each other mates. And then later in this part, Ruhn is like, it's obvious the two of you really like each other. So a third person is like, hey, I think you're mates, before they're like official about it. So like, I don't know. That feels weird.
And then Hunt goes into full on like mate rage protection. Which I'm actually glad that happened, because the whole my name is Ruhn and I can smell you guys and you smell the same, that was not cutting it as rationale for them being mates. Um, to be honest, I kind of liked it in the gym when they were like, what do we call each other? You're a little old to be my boyfriend. And they just land on that as a term. And I was like, oh, good. This is like a new form of the mate relationship. I like that. And then it goes all primal and feral and like, really the only way to cure that is conjugal visits. That's okay.
And the other thing we know about fates is that the angels, fates, mates, is that the angels don't have mates. And the fae, like, mate is very much a reserved term for the true thing, and not everyone has a mate. So that's a very rare incident. So we have those two concepts, and then Bryce and Hunt are now mates, and then we're led to believe this is the first angel fae half human mate pairing.
Yeah. Which I suppose this is a great conversation to have, given that it's now Pride Month. But how do you think this affects or will affect Bryce's ruse of being engaged with Cormac? Because it doesn't really seem to me as though Hunt can like control this stuff.
So there's that issue, and then if Ruhn can smell the difference, doesn't that mean other fays can potentially smell it? And so if she smells like whatever this smell is, and Cormac doesn't, that's going to be a red flag to the rest of the fae. And that's the only people they're trying to pull this over on.
But also, does the engagement ruse even matter anymore now that the Hind knows that they've been affiliated with the rebellion?
I mean, they're toast, that's for sure. The question is, how toast are they?
I mean, obviously they're not going to be arrested and killed and drawn and quartered or something. So how?
I wouldn't, like, Hunt might be. Like, I could see that being a punishment for Hunt. And maybe Ithan. I could see the fae not wanting to kill the prince and the princess and needing to keep one of them.
Okay, so something else that's been bothering me, and along this same line of thought, you have to go back to the prologue, right? Go back to the prologue with Sophie trying to escape. Now that we know that the dude that picked Sophie up was Cormac, and they get to the rendezvous point, and the Hind is there, like in force, like set up. Okay, so then Cormac, Ruhn, and Ithan are in that alley trying to pass intel on to the Ophion rebel, and the Hind isn't there, but her cronies are.
Yep.
And then Cormac teleports Ruhn and Ithan to a bar on the other side of the city, and the Hind just knows that they're there and can walk in when they're in the middle of their first drink. And then Cormac is the one teleporting them to Yerd or Erd or wherever the rebellion is. And guess who shows up? The Hind. So my question, how does the Hind seemingly always know where to be? And why is Cormac always involved in whatever the situation is? Is he a double agent?
I wouldn't be surprised. Also, I had a friend post who finally finished the third book, and she talks about the Hind being her favorite character. which means I think we're going to hear a lot more about her.
Is that how Ruhn and Hunt and company, when they get back to Crescent City, is that how they're not? Is the Hind actually a rebel sympathizer somehow?
Maybe the Hind is the double agent, and that's why she's known for being so brutal.
Is the Hind going to be sort of like a Manon character arc? Because I like Manon.
Right?
All right, let's just do the thing I don't want to talk about, but we have to talk. Ruhn's relationship with Agent Daybright.
It's getting real weird.
Okay, so just paint a picture, right? Ruhn opens a mental bridge connection to someone that Cormac tells him to talk to, known as Agent Daybright.
Yep.
Agent Daybright is a female. Ruhn can't see her because she is constantly wreathed in flame.
Just like he's covered in stars.
He's covered in night. Which he did without even knowing he did. So I guess props to Ruhn. Anyway, they've never seen each other. They don't know each other's names, stations. I mean, they probably have guesses, but Ruhn is all in on this chick. I'm pretty sure he would sell his soul just to have a date with Agent Daybright. And it is getting weird where they're having dates on this weird mental connection thing.
Yeah.
And I don't like it.
Yeah. Because also when the scenes open up, we don't get a lot of context, but I get the sense that Ruhn is usually neither asleep nor awake. So it's in that in between that first, sleep cycle phase, if you will, where you're not really fully, you're not moving, but your brain is still working.
Mm-hmm. So it's almost like he's subconsciously reaching for her, which is its own weird form of yearning.
Yes. And they've got these fainting couches that they hang out on. And she tells him a story in the last one to help him sleep.
Which, if you're on this mental bridge, how do you fall asleep on the mental bridge? Don't you have to be, I don't know. It just is weird. And the shameless flirting is weird. Sarah J. Maas does this thing that I understand and simultaneously don't care for. But here's why I understand it, because male authors do it to female characters ad nauseum, and it is sickening and revolting. And it's the concept of a character just falling in love with whatever thing crosses their path. And seemingly Kale does it, and Dorian does it, and Tamlin does it, and they're these little helpless boys. So I get why Sarah J. Maas does it, because she's turning the tables on the typical trope, but I feel like that's what Ruhn is doing, and I don't like it. It seems unnecessary, I guess is my thing, but I know it's going to be necessary because Agent Daybright is somebody, and that's going to be revealed at some point, I assume. And then the fact that Ruhn has a relationship with this person is going to probably be very handy.
Yes, and I'm super loving your idea that this person, Agent Daybright, might be Celestina. And because in one of these incidences, she's roughly pulled out for sex. To the point where Ruhn thinks she's getting raped. So he goes, is really on edge, waits for her to come back. She comes back. It's not. It was consensual. But she doesn't look pleased or thrilled about it. Which describes Celestina's relationship with this new angel
dude.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't seem thrilled about the relationship, but she seems to be placating it.
Yeah, she's definitely doing her duty. Playing the Asteri game. She's smart. She gets it. And I think that whole exchange made me think that this is Celestina even more. And if it's not, SJM is doing one heck of a red herring ruse. That's going to make me feel stupid, I'm sure. But I like the idea that it's Celestina. I like the idea that Celestina knows what people are doing. And I like the idea that that's why Celestina told Bryce that she could have Hunt early when he was being punished.
Yes.
Because she knew what they were going to do.
Yep.
And is it possible? Ooh. When you were talking about the Hind, is it possible that the Hind is like almost working for Celestina, and that's how the Hind knew to go to Yurta?
That would make sense. And Celestina did specifically say to Bryce that you are doing me a favor by taking Hunt.
Mm-hmm.
She claimed it was for his broodiness, but just a convenient cover.
Ooh, okay. I really like that double agent political game thing going on. If any of that's true, that would be super cool.
Mm-hmm.
I think the only wrench that gets thrown in the Agent Daybright is Celestina theory is Celestina is billed as like the lowest of the low archangels. So if that's the case, how would she have all of this like closer relationship and knowledge of the Asteri and what the armies are doing and things like that?
Yeah, but she was really
That's
close with Hunt's previous girlfriend,
That's true.
Sahar. And
Yeah.
so maybe this is all pre this. And because of her sympathizer brain, she's ended up in this very particular role.
Listen, Ruhn and Celestina getting together, I really like that idea. I still don't like this falling for somebody that you don't know and can't see just because their voice sounds nice kind of a thing. It's, I don't know, whatever. I need to get over it, I'm sure.
I still want Ruhn and Hypaxia. I want to hear more of Hypaxia's story.
Yeah. Speaking of which, Hypaxia has the necromancer capabilities. And the necromancer concept is becoming more and more like put out there because of Emil and Sophie and whatnot. So, and also if Ithan wants to know what actually happened to Connor or anything like that, he also has to go to a necromancer. So I think I'm seeing a path for Hypaxia to come back in.
Does the Hind have necromancer capabilities, or is it just Hypaxia? Okay.
I think there was actually a section that was talking about how the Hind doesn't even really have power. Like
just the shifting.
Magical power. Like it's so small that it's not worth anything. And that's why I think it was one of Hunt's monologues or something, inner monologues, where he was just like, nobody even really knows how she went from being nobody to being like the second in command for Sandriel when she was like 24.
That's right. And she's a deer shifter, which when I think of deer, I don't think of the meanest of the mean, the brutalest person.
No, I definitely think that it fits Juniper better.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe that's like the juxtaposition, right? The comparison, the foil, the Hind and Juniper. Juniper is beautiful, elegant, light, and the Hind is devious, deadly, sadistic.
Mm-hmm. We got a segue for a hot minute now that you brought up Juniper, because I am devastated that Bryce called and used her power to get Juniper, principal dancer, and Juniper is livid.
And she should be. I don't know how Bryce effed up that.
She's not coming back from that.
Not for a good hot minute, no. I understand Bryce's urge.
Yes.
But I don't understand why she just acted on the urge rather than saying, hey, June, what's up, girlfriend? Hey, you know how everybody keeps calling me this like princess chick? Maybe I could use that to like talk to the ballet company. And then of course Juniper would be like, do not dare, don't. But like, I don't understand why that was not the urge. Like how do you not pass that by somebody?
Or even like call Ruhn to like think about what the negative consequences are, since he's been in this position for so long, and he could probably tell her like, oh,
Yeah.
you're gonna piss off other people, don't forget that.
Yeah, but she's pissed off Juniper, and that means that she's not going to have Fury's help from here on out. Yeah, she messed up. She messed up, and I feel bad for Juniper. Like, she got everything that she wanted for the wrong reasons, not based on her own merit.
It
This
is
sucks.
based off of her own merit, because it sounds like the other people who are principals didn't get it on merit either.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like it's corporate America in a nutshell.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
but like on some level, you internally, you don't want a handout, right? You want to have earned something. And Juniper didn't get that, even though she deserves it. And I feel bad for her.
Okay, the last plot point we have to talk about is the Mystics and the Astronomer and fucking Ithan going balls to the wall stealing shit.
Yeah. Okay. Where do you want to start with that mess?
I
Oh
don't
man.
even know how you begin to unpack it. Do we go forwards to backwards or backwards to forwards?
Well, I guess we should just paint a picture. So the Astronomer is like a really old con man that has purchased people with, I don't even know what the ability is. I want to think of it as like a really, really enhanced version of Ruhn's telepathy. So these people can like reach their mind out to anywhere in the world, into different planets and different realms. Like it's so enhanced, and find information. And he has like bought them and then enslaved them and entrapped them and connected them to a machine of some sorts so that he can control them and like send them out to gain answers based upon people's paying customers questions.
Yes. Meanwhile, they're like living in a saltwater tank with
Yeah.
these tubes attached to them. And he's got a table in front of him that shows the universe and where they're going.
Yeah, very CIA. Okay, so Ithan saves the Mystics trapped in the saltwater baths because they're being attacked by the Demon Prince.
Yep.
And that's where his like vigilante bullshit starts, I guess.
His primal need to protect.
Okay, so I guess first is Ithan goes back and nobody's there, so he's just like, all right, I guess I'll just break down this door and do a little B&E. That's cool. Nobody's going to care, right?
Right.
Okay, well, I guess that's the picture.
Because he still has more questions, is really what it comes down to. But we don't get this impression that he's going to pay to get them answered.
It's very messed up because I don't really understand who the Astronomer is, what he is, like what's his power, what's his influence.
He's a con man.
It seems very circusy to me, but then he has all the technology to back it up. I wouldn't be surprised if Declan built him the software.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that Declan seems to have built everybody in Crescent City their software programs?
Pretty much, yeah.
So speaking as somebody that has worked in software for a long time, I don't really care how good or whatever you are. That shit takes time, man. So I get that Declan is like what he and Ruhn and Flynn are, they're all like 80 something.
Yeah.
But like to do it for the entire city and to work out all of the bugs and then to be doing all of this vigilante stuff on your own and running the Ox, and I don't know, like it's just time. Anyways, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the Mystics. All right.
So Ithan decides, after he finds out that she's the wolf, or a wolf, that he's going to somehow set her free, even though she's like, bro, if you set me free, my family will die of starvation. Also, I don't want to be free, because I want to go back in and do my mystic thing.
Yeah. Which I still don't really understand what the mystic thing is. On some level, why were we being shown the Mystics and the Astronomer? I don't think this is a side quest. I think this is going to come back into the main plot about the Asteri and the rebellion. I don't know how exactly, but Sarah J. Maas is not super known for just having side quests for no reason.
This feels like it's another way to highlight how unfair the Asteri's setup is, but then it's also really interesting to get the Mystic's perspective of like, yeah, she's obviously not thrilled that she's a slave, but she also is okay with this current outcome given that the alternative was significantly worse.
What do you think the deal with the fire sprites and the dragon shifter is?
I can't wait to hear more about this dragon shifter.
Yeah, I don't mean to be a pig, but like she kind of seems hot, doesn't she?
I mean, she literally burned the place down.
I'm not super I'm super interested in what's going to happen with this side quest, but also why?
I don't know.
It's you know.
Well, now that we know that Sophie's dead, I mean, I see your point about the necromancy, but to me it just feels like, oh, womp womp. Like,
yeah.
I was really hoping for her to be alive.
There's a lot of build up for zero payoff.
Yeah.
Also, how dumb do you feel after we're in like the part 1, we're talking about it, and we're like, Sophie's alive. Sophie's definitely alive. Nope.
No.
Never was.
She died and she still has secrets to give.
Which I suppose that kind of... The Hind killed her.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that puts a little bit of a wrench into the Hind as a double agent. I don't know. It's getting messy. My mind is gonna spin itself in circles, I think.
So we just have to keep reading then.
I guess we have to keep reading. I guess that's a good place to put a bookmark in it for now, and we can read on to part 3.
Sounds good. I absolutely can't wait to see where we go.
Yep. Okay, so we're gonna read part 3, and that'll finish the second Crescent City book for us, and that's what we'll talk about next time.
Thanks for listening.
See ya.